Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. We've got Liam and Christian here from eCreators by Open LMS, and thanks for taking the time to register and join us today on this webinar about building your e-learning library. We had I don't know if you know, but we had an interesting year last year where a lot more people engaged with online learning. And we found that the biggest conversation was around content, and our advice at that time when we were speaking to our new customers and our customers who had recently come on with learning management systems, they just didn't know where to start, and our advice to them at that stage was just start, please. Get some content in your site. You need to adjust now. And so we're advising them on all the different ways to get content into their e-learning library. So we thought today we'd formalize that and put together this webinar topic with a couple of folks that know a little bit about this as well. Christian far more than me. But before we start, we'll go into a couple of housekeeping notes. So we're on YouTube. You should see a Q&A pane down at the bottom. Feel free to ask questions during the session. We've got time at the end to make sure we answer all of those for you as well. Also, what we like to do is give a shout out where you're from, and let's find the most interesting places in the world that we're getting people listening to us live. We'll also be interacting with you through there. We've got Chloe helping us out behind the scenes on the chat. So thanks, Chloe, and we'll make sure we can get to your comments and questions as we go. So really the agenda for today, we want to make sure that you walk away from this knowing, if you haven't got any content into your LMS, knowing where to start. If you're looking to evolve your e-learning library and your courses in that are already in your LMS, how you can level up your game as well, and how to build out your e-learning library and where to go as well if you need help along the way. So we'll make sure we get through all those things with plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So into intros, Christian, would you like to let folks know about yourself?
Yeah, I guess hello everyone. I'm Christian Terry, the creative director at eCreators by Open LMS. So we have a very creative team. We have a lot of illustrators, designers, we've got authors, we've got all types of developers. But my background is mainly in graphic design, animation, and from a video game production point of view. So I really love all that kind of interactivity and all types of weird ways to really engage people and create memorable content. Also, yeah, a lot of the background has been virtual reality and augmented reality, and we try and put a lot of new technologies into what we're doing. We also, a lot of our members, a lot of our core members also have little side businesses, and I'm one of those as well. So we always really encourage our staff to be quite entrepreneurial and have little side ventures and quests.
And you may not be able to see me, I've got some of Christian's cards lined up for Father's Day and birthdays and everything like that. We do utilize well drawn, and I'm the guy that has the easy job of selling all of what Christian and his team are able to do. So I've been with eCreators coming up near on 5 years, and I'm now proudly part of Open LMS as a Senior Director of Sales for Asia Pacific. We have a fantastic team around us that make this job really easy. But I come from a background in registered training organisations here in Australia, so all the formal education backgrounds, but also live in the best spot in Australia. I'm super biased, but live in Port Arlington in Victoria, small town. But yeah, it's fantastic to be near the water and be able to do this job remotely as well and bring it to the rest of the world. So just a bit of a scene set before we get into the meat of this, so you know who you're hearing from today. So Open LMS, since introducing the first fully open source SaaS platform more than 12 years ago, Open LMS has been on a long journey in open source learning, and we're proud to say we're now the world's largest, most experienced and most trusted education technology support services and open source SaaS hosting organization as well. Also fortunate enough, we have the investment capacity coming from Learning Technologies Group, which is a learning powerhouse based in the UK, with a global team. So we've got over 150 people now in more than 10 countries. And we also bring the strength of LTG, which is another 800 odd people on top of that. So we've got folks all around the world, teams that I've spoken to already today in the US and Colombia, and teams in the UK as well. So with the financial backing of LTG, we're able to provide reliable, stable, secure partnerships for our customers. And how eCreators fits into the picture as well. So Christian and I both worked at eCreators prior to our acquisition by LTG and the subsequent merger of the business with Open LMS. And now eCreators is a bespoke e-learning design and development arm of Open LMS. And we're very well established in Australia, even last year winning 6 LearnX awards, and very excited to take our skills out to clients in the rest of the world. So into the meat of it. So we want to talk about, we're going to graduate through this webinar today about perhaps potentially the easiest ways of getting content into your LMS, all the way through to bespoke custom e-learning design and development. So we'll take you on a bit of a journey on quick and easy ways to get things done, and then into getting that higher quality design and development, and how you can either do that for yourself or when to bring in the experts to be able to help you with that. So with the next few slides, one of the biggest shortcuts you can take is to utilize content that has already been built for you. So once you've vetted the content for your organization, whether that's paid or unpaid content, off-the-shelf content can provide a really great option to get your e-learning library a little bit more bolstered. So I think one of the first ideas, and something that you can take away immediately from this, is that if you're not already signed up to our online learning toolbox, perhaps we can get a link to that in the chat at some point today, so you can go and register through LinkedIn. You can get notified of the free weekly courses that come up. But Christian, perhaps if you want to talk about a little bit more about the origins of this during COVID last year, and just how we wanted to help organizations get a few more courses into their library while they had more employees working from home.
Yeah, of course. It kind of spawned from an idea that we had last year, especially Dean, and talking about how we can offer these free courses or just anything to help out people going through this. We found that when we created courses in Rise, particularly, it was quite easy to create courses in there quite quick, and you could get a really good result quite easily. So this was a kind of initiative because we found that it was actually quite easy to create these in Rise. So creating these, so I've said the word creating like 25 times, but making these in Rise just seemed a very, very simple solution, something that would really benefit others. So something like coping with COVID, or how to effectively work remote, or how to not be distracted. Like very nice generic courses, but something that could really help out others. We made them for ourselves, and we thought, why not share them with everyone else? And now it's become a staple. We have, I think, about 38 courses that we've made. I'm not sure if all of them have been released yet. We're starting to make them in Spanish as well, Portuguese, in other languages. So we'll get into Arabic as well, and Mandarin potentially soon. So this is something that we're really liking. We're happy doing this because we know it's also for other people, and we've had some pretty good responses. So we love them. If you have any suggestions as well, like we literally find courses to help out others. So if you have any suggestions, send it through. We're happy to add it to our list. And we're always looking at new courses that might help others.
Absolutely. We'll forgive you for saying create. You are the creative director, so you can say create, but in the chat, let's keep a tally of how many times Christian says it, just to wind them up. But I mean, this has been something that's been really well received from our community, that we're proud to put out there, these free courses. And they follow us on LinkedIn, because these courses are available for a week at a time. And they're completely free with no obligations. You download the SCORM package. So whether you're a customer or not, the goal with this was to put out relevant topics that are trending now. So we do our research online to see what topics are trending now in e-learning, and we put those free courses out there so people can download the SCORM packages. Anyone can use them to move on. But so those are some free ones that can get you started straight away to build up your library. And then we've also got a couple of off-the-shelf content partners that we'll mention quickly, Open Sesame and GoOne. And Open Sesame have a customer with Siemens, and this reflects the feelings of a lot of our clients. If there's a large amount of compliance or professional development training that needs to be done, it may be a better use of your L&D team's time to be creating learning initiatives that are unique to your organization, rather than reinventing the wheel with a stock standard compliance type training or professional development, how to use Excel, those types of courses that an off-the-shelf content partner would be able to provide. So, finding, evaluating, selecting the right types of courses for your organization. It can be a lot if you're dealing with a large content library like someone like Open Sesame and GoOne can provide. And they can take care of the generic professional development and compliance curation for you to allow more time for the organization specific training that's really going to help you to change behavior or roll out new initiatives. And we'll talk about how you can use those, you can spend your time best on organization specific training a little bit later on today. But just to touch quickly on Open Sesame, they're a US-based company who 10 years old this year, and we've now partnered with Open Sesame to allow our customers to have more content options from the one provider. As you look across your organization, whether you're in higher education or corporate or government, not-for-profit, you still all have employees, and no employee is going to learn the same way as another. And Open Sesame are able to provide access to over 20,000 courses, and you're able to find the right one for the right type of learner as well. And they've got a kind offer for our current and future Open LMS customers. So if you have over 75 employees and looking for staff training, just contact our team. They can talk you through the generous 25 course credit offer from Open Sesame as well. And quickly onto GoOne, we're going to move into talking about creating your own content through your LMS in a moment. But attendees here today may already be familiar with GoOne, but we've had a great relationship with them over time for a number of years now. We always like an Australian success story. Down here, we're a bit biased, and there isn't many bigger than GoOne for Australian startups. In fact, they ranked 6th on the LinkedIn list of top startup lists in 2020 and have attracted significant investment from companies like Microsoft. And more importantly, they're really good at curating and delivering off-the-shelf content at scale. Their goal was to be the Netflix of training. So they've partnered with the best content providers in the world of off-the-shelf content, and they've racked up around 100,000 learning objects as well. So there's plenty to choose from, but they also help their customers find the right content, and they've invested in plenty of staff to be able to do that as well. We actually helped GoOne to create an integration between their library and our learning management systems. In fact, all Moodle-based LMSs. So with a GoOne subscription, you can also add GoOne learning objects to any course in your LMS, which makes things a little bit easier to build out your content. So again, if you'd like to know any more about GoOne and their offerings, we've partnered with them to make sure it's easier for you to access their services for our customers. So get in touch with us as well. But I wanted to talk quickly about the technology that sits behind this. And this technology is, I don't think enough people know about this. And it's really cool to talk about it. It's an acronym that makes me sound smart in a lot of conversations, so I like to use it. Learning Tools Interoperability. We've talked about a couple of these off-the-shelf content providers, but a lot of the technology, this is a lot of the technology that they use. And if you've got an LMS, you'll be able to use it too. So effectively, if you want to pull content from another source, there's a way to stream their content without necessarily, downloading SCORM packages, downloading resources. You can stream their courses through to your LMS as well. All you need is a unique URL and a key that they will provide. But if you are a content creator, I was chatting to this with a not-for-profit, the Pancare Foundation, looks at pancreatic cancer and a lot of other upper GI cancers. And they are creating specialist content for general practitioners, nurses, on their types of cancers. Now, if they want to go and sell that to hospitals around Australia, this is a fantastic way for them to distribute this content. So if you've got specialty content in an area, you can sell your content to other organizations and then not hand over your intellectual property by handing over SCORM packages or other bits of information. You can provide access to your LMS for them to for your customers to stream your content. So it helps to protect your IP. It provides them with a great experience because they're sending their learners to their LMS. They don't need to go to a different place. And it's just wins all round for people. So if you are specialists in creating content in your particular field and are thinking about selling it or distributing it, check out LTI. Again, if you're one of our customers, we can help show you how to use this as it's in all of your LMSs. All right. If you ever wondered what the back of Christian's head looks like, that's it. Taken from one of our offices here in Melbourne. And we want to talk about using the tools that you have available to you now, or affordable alternatives if you want to build your own content. So we think anyone can be a content creator. You just have to know what's available to you. And so we've got resources that are available in Moodle-based LMSs like Open LMS, but there'll be similarities around any LMS that is out there. So some of the resources, now we're going to talk about resources and activities, resources being content that you absorb and activities being content that you do. So you can use standard resources like if you want your learners to view the content on screen without having to download other assets, you can use a page or book resource that's available. You can also use it as a repository for people to be able to download any type of file. They may need to upload it later, and that's fine. Even using a label or embedding video that appears anywhere on YouTube, and we'll talk about more detailed interactive video a little bit later on as well. So all of these resources can be added very quickly to the site. So these are the types of things that we're recommending at the beginning of COVID. Get your content into your site. Done is better than perfect initially, and then you can iterate upon your courses. So if all your content is in PowerPoints right now, just get your PowerPoints, upload them into your LMS. People can download them and view them, and then build upon it in ways that we can talk about as well. Same with activities. It can be a simple assignment where someone sets a task and people complete it. Also, that's really handy if you're in a workplace that needs to show licenses. So if, for example, you're doing a contractor induction and you need to have proof that they've done a forklift training license, for example, they can take a picture of that, upload that to the LMS as an assignment activity, and then you've got evidence of competency or compliance in that area. But these are tools that are available in your LMS now, even integrations with video conferencing tools like Zoom or Microsoft Teams that you can create as part of a course. So you can have the live interactive element as well. There's also an open source tool called H5P. If you're not familiar with H5P, on this YouTube channel are fantastic videos about how to use H5P. It's an open source HTML5 content authoring tool, and it just means that it's available in your LMS. It's free for anyone to use. You don't need to know any programming languages to use it. It's built to be really easy to use and to deploy. There's about 46 content types that you can use for H5P, so that's fantastic, but not to overwhelm you with all of them. We've listed a few here, like course presentations, so taking your slides and just presenting it in a really nice way that can be interactive as well. Interactive video, which we'll come back to. Branching scenarios, so a choose your own adventure style, and as well as that, the drag and drop activities for interactivity. But my favorite is interactive video, and I'll get you to chat on this as well, Christian. It just allows you to simply add interactions to any video. So you can take a video off YouTube, add interactions to it to make sure people are engaged. And my favorite one is where you can ask a little quiz question at any point in the video, and if they don't get it right, if they haven't been paying attention, you can send them back to the start of the video to make sure the learner's been paying attention. But Christian, have you seen any other examples of where interactive video has been used really well?
Yeah, I agree with Liam. I think the interactive video is pretty phenomenal. We recently, or we've done a couple where we use this 360 panorama as well with clickable hotspots. So it's a really easy way to kind of simulate even VR or kind of an interactive room. So if you've got a panoramic shot, you can find a lot of them for free on Google if you just type in something panorama, and then load that in and have like a little, you could be in the Grand Canyon looking at different type of rock formations or something. But it's just a really cool way of getting a bit of a weird VR for, obviously on budget and free and easy to use. So they're pretty phenomenal. There's a lot out there, and a lot of that, you can customize and do whatever you like with it.
And I guess then, Christian, just taking your panorama idea, you could then also, if you've got a license to maybe Shutterstock or some other stock video content repository, you might be able to do the same as well with that.
Yeah, exactly. So Shutterstock is pretty phenomenal. We've luckily enough to have a license of quite a few 1,000 images per month. But you can actually type in office environment panorama, or even an illustration scene like some space scene, or even a video game. But pretty much anything in Shutterstock, you can download even as vectors. So you can actually have those individual files being thrown at you. Like if you want to edit the chair in a classroom, you can. So it's quite easy, especially with all these type of licenses, if you want to integrate that as well. But yeah, with H5P, anything's really possible. It's just kind of how far you want to go into it. And as Liam's point before, it is an iterative approach. So you can get something in PowerPoint, and then just maybe get one exciting part of that PowerPoint and turn it into a H5P activity. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. And that's what we do as well. So we would go in an iterative approach and then just kind of lay it out and then enhance areas as we see fit.
And I know people may want to take it to the next level. There might be a few in our audience saying, yeah, we're all across that. We know how to use our tools that are in the LMS to get content in there. How do we take it to the next level? And there's specialist authoring tools to be able to do that. And so these are tools that our team use, but they're available to everyone to purchase. And we've just listed a few here that are our recommendations, and perhaps just those top three that are highlighted, Christian, if you want to talk through some of the ways that you use that, and maybe the scenarios and when you use that, so our audience would know when they should use it as well.
Yeah, of course. I think that, like, obviously when you're starting, it's really up to you what you want to do. If you want to get something, other ones that we've highlighted, if you want to get something online pretty quick and easy, that looks quite good and a really an easy result, I'd probably pick Rise. It's responsive. It's like if you're using Microsoft Word. It's got all the standard kind of interactions, but really well done. Another thing you can do with Rise, the second one, mobile-friendly one, is you can actually embed other elements. So if you find a really good like JavaScript or code snippet or something amazing that you want to integrate, you can simply embed that into your course. If you're using even things like PowerPoint, you can embed PDFs in there. So that's quite easy to get a good result. And you can, we do things sometimes in a day in Rise. So it's especially this remote working toolkit, for example, like those are built in a few hours. Articulate Storyline is more robust, but for us, it's a blank canvas. We really, really love it. Like there's all the default things like the back and next and all the menu items. We turn all of that off when we actually start. And to us, we can build a custom UI, custom menus, custom buttons. We can embed videos in there. We can put voiceovers in there that automatically play. You can put all the text interactions or type. You could literally put a VR, like a WebGL scene that you've exported from like a game engine, something really high end. You can just place it in there. The power of Storyline, it's it's really up to you. Especially with our designers, we like to keep them pretty separate. So we say to our designers, don't look at storyline, just do whatever you want. And then our developers will try and figure it out. Or back in the day, I would have to try and figure that out, how we would actually get this done. So Storyline's a really, really good tool. We've got lots of examples of the courses in Storyline. So you can see all the different kind of variations you can potentially build. Another thing with Storyline, it's really easy to edit. So that's why we love it, because clients love it. We can send this file, we can send a finished file once a course is signed off to someone, and they can just easily edit some text. If you want to translate the course as well, both Storyline and Rise export this file called XLIFF, and you can just translate that, put it back into the course, and it automatically has it in a different language. You might need to reshuffle some elements, especially if it's being read the opposite way, but it's a really, really good tool. That's probably our standard one. GoMo is a really interesting one. So that's something that LTG or we've actually created. So we can also put through feature requests as well. So with GoMo, it's a kind of in between. So it's a really nice tool because it's kind of web HTML. It's responsive. It looks good on landscape. It looks good on mobile as well for PCs. So it's quite handy. We can change quite a bit of it as well. We're always adding things to it. So it's rapidly developing, and we have influence over that. So it's a really good tool. As maybe a medium or in between if you're not sure about responsive, or if you're not sure about a light Rise thing or a really heavy duty Storyline. I guess the other tools. So traditionally, just quickly with the other tools, they're there. We can use them all. We have used them all. Captivate we don't use as much, purely because we think Storyline is a bit easier to use and a bit easier for the client to use. But Captivate's quite responsive. It used to be the standard. I think Storyline's certainly that way now. Same with Lectora. Lectora is quite a nice tool, easy to use as well. Adapt is more of a framework. So that's something if you want to make your own custom HTML, or if you want to edit things. If you know coding, if you know programming, Adapt is a really phenomenal tool. iSpring is it's a nice tool if you want to get something like PowerPoint directly into a SCORM or directly into a course. If you want to kind of convert things, iSpring's handy for that one. And then there's the new ones. I've kind of put them in italics, but CoAssemble, it's beautiful. Like if you want a beautiful, simple course quickly, without any really fuss, CoAssemble's there. Easy Generator, another one. Adeptly is an interesting one. It has a few game-based scenarios. So if you want a nice gamification that's quite easy to build, Adeptly probably it. And same with Thirst as well, another nice looking tool that we use. But certainly Storyline is something for us. It's super creative, so we love it. You can do whatever you like.
Yeah, it's and if you're overwhelmed with that list and looking for places to start, we thought we'd put together this slide just to show you where to start from. But even if you're a beginner on the tool, it's probably worth the investment in getting someone to build a template for you. So something that's in line with your brand guidelines for your organization, where you can then fill in the content around it as well. That will help speed things up a lot. But what we wanted to talk about here is, it's all good that we're saying it's easy to do, that we can do it because we do it every day. But is it easy for you to do, and what are the pros and cons about using different tools? So in the interest of time, we've just chosen 3 to have a bit of a look at. Using your LMS tools, it's great because there's no additional cost. It's all included in your LMS, and it's really simple to do. But you're going to have lower quality or less engaging I guess outputs from it, where you can't build as many interactivities, or it may be content styles or types of activities that your learners have seen before as well. If you've got quite long courses, you're going to be repeating a lot of the activity types in there too. With Articulate Rise, it's, as Christian said, very easy to author with. It's truly responsive for mobile devices. So you can get your content in there really, really quickly. The challenge is if you wanted to make it accessible, and we just went past Accessibility Week last week, to meet those AA web content accessibility guideline standards, it's much harder to do in Rise. If you have a look at their website, they're working towards getting all features to that AA standard, but it really relies on your course developer within your organization to know those standards and to know which interactions to avoid and which parts to avoid. So when customers want us to build them content to that AA standard, we don't use Articulate Rise because it would limit us too much. So with Articulate Storyline as well, the great thing about it is it's comprehensive. It produces high quality content, but you may need some upskilling in how to use it, which is why we recommend getting the templates done as well. So I know we're coming up towards half an hour into it, so we want to make sure that we've got time for questions at the end, but we just wanted to make sure if you get to that point where you've hit your limit on what you believe that you can do for your organization or what you believe your organization can do for yourselves, knowing when is the right time to outsource your content design and development. So we'll go back and forth with this a little bit as well there, Christian, and what we've put down here is the right time to outsource is when your organization needs specialist talent. So if you have a skill shortage within your organization on how to design and develop these tools, you've got a choice to make. Do we learn this ourselves, or do we engage someone to do this for us? What's the opportunity cost of training our people in order to do it? You may have the skills internally, but you may need a big job done quickly. So a recent example of that, the New South Wales Police Force engaged us because they've got a great e-learning team internally. They just had some tight deadlines to hit for some training. They needed 14 modules completed really quick. They gave us amazing storyboards to work from, and we just did rapid development for them and turned them around really quickly. And so if you've got tight deadlines to hit, you might have a big project that's coming up, then that's the right time to outsource. When your team just has other priorities, so if you've got a great e-learning team, but they're fully booked and you still need to roll out this important project, but it's not urgent and important, then you can engage someone to get them in. And when you are working on an urgent and important project, but you need additional resources for it, that's a good time to outsource as well and build that into your project budget. Thoughts on those, Christian?
Yeah, I agree with all those points. I think they're quite valid. I think with one of the things we can do, we're a one-stop shop, as Liam mentioned as well, but we have these specialized talents. Like if you want to add in, if you just want us to illustrate things in your course and create supporting illustrations, we can do that. If you have illustrations and you have a really good course, you just want maybe some interactive, so we can produce, we've done that quite often. We just do the interactive component and maybe we do some like embedded areas. If you want maybe a prototype to show off and win you some more opportunities, we create prototypes all the time as well. Yeah, we have illustrators, authors, designers, developers. We've got video producers. We've got animators. We've got pretty much everything like covered. And one of the other things is like even with our internal, I guess, our design content team, that's across the globe. So we can potentially, if someone needed something and they're willing to have a shorter result or a really quick time frame, we can design something in the morning, build it in the evening kind of result. So we've got people in the US, UK, Portugal, Colombia, we've got Adelaide, Brisbane. We've got pretty much every state covered. But yeah, we can certainly help out. It just depends on your needs, really. And of course, we can do it all. We prefer to do it all. It kind of helps in that way, and show the creative kind of outlet that we can. But honestly, we can help in any way possible.
Absolutely, and keep your questions coming because we're coming up to the end of what we're going to show, and see we've got one or two coming through in the comments, so we'll make sure we get to those. And when you do engage someone, when you are outsourcing, so when you've hit one of those points in the previous slide where you decide, right, we need to outsource, this is going to give us some great ROI for our organization, what should you expect from this? Well, first of all, the organization that you outsource with, hopefully it's us, but the organization that you go with, they're not subject matter experts in everything. We've got so many customers from a wide range of industries, like what we were saying before, emergency services, to mining, to defense forces, to not-for-profits, to higher education institutions. There's such a diversity, and I mean, Christian's a smart fella, but he can't be an expert in everything. So we need your subject matter expertise, and the quality content that comes in equals great quality content that's going to come out on the other end. Our instructional designers can take your raw content and design and shape it to help you achieve those learning outcomes online. But we want to make sure that the quality of content coming in is not only done and finished so you're ready to then develop it, but also to the quality that you're expecting to put out there as an organization. You should also expect a collaborative approach. So if we're working with a new organization, we need to get to know them and, importantly, get to know their learners as well. So need to work quite closely together. So there needs to be conversations around how you're going to collaborate at each stage of the process. That needs to be part of the conversation before you engage someone to outsource. You also want to know that your feedback is being listened to and implemented. This is your content. You're the owner of it. This is your intellectual property. You'll be putting it out there to your learners. We can provide expert opinions about what has worked for other customers in the past and what we like, but we will always leave it to you as a customer to do that. So ensure that there's opportunities for when your feedback will be listened to and that it does get implemented along the way. And lastly, and really importantly, that your intellectual property needs to be protected. We speak to too many organizations who come to us and said, look, we can't get our source content because that's being held by a previous content developer. I mean, in line with our open source mentality and philosophy here at Open LMS, we just believe that's wrong. It's your IP, it's your content, and so we hand everything over at the end of the project. So that's not only the source files from the authoring tool that we use, but every single asset that we use in there as well, to make sure that if you choose to engage us for updates in the future, you can do that, but you can also update that yourself, and we can enable you to do that. Thoughts on that one there, Christian?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think with one of the things with rebuilding your courses, obviously, like, we hate the fact that, like, as Liam said, people don't share their source files, they don't hand that over at the end. We store the source files. We store the source files for quite a number of years as well. Sometimes we don't have the source files and we're requested to make changes when it becomes a bit complicated that someone else has done. But yeah, we always try and help. And if worst comes to worst, we can rebuild it one-to-one, similar to your old courses, from some other contractor. So yeah, especially with collaboration, like, we work really closely with. We have 300 projects on the go. We've got quite a lot of clients on the go, and we also try and align our designers or developer to the project. For instance, like, I'm from a mining or engineering background, so those kind of topics or those areas are kind of a bit better at, or we perform a bit better at, or we have one of our team members, a psychologist or background in psychology, so those courses about mental health or those areas work better with them. So we always try and help, and there's always someone who you can talk to as well. And if worst comes to worst, you can always ping us on the chat or something like that.
Yeah, and these are sort of the minimum standards that you should expect. And you want a high quality relationship with whoever you outsource to. And there should be a lot of transparency up front, fixed price quotes, that sort of thing, a defined scope, just so that you're both working on the same team towards the same outcome. That's something that we're really big on. At the end of it, we want to be in a partnership with the customers rather than on two sides of the conversation. So we've got a question here that we can weave into what we're going to show next from Distance EdTech AU. G'day, thanks for asking that. And tools for beginners. So what we would recommend, and that could probably weave into some of what we'll show in these examples here. And I'm guessing, Christian, you start out with something like Articulate Rise.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen so we can go through some of those examples.
So what we're going to show through here, and what Christian's bringing up, is different versions of content that we can have through different standards of e-learning content. There's so many variables when we work towards these projects, and it depends on things like customer budget and other variables like the level of interactivity, who their audience is, what their audience is going to absorb as well. So we design to different levels of e-learning content and use different tools to do that. So I think this first example is showing in Articulate Rise.
Yes, this is a course we did work in collaboration with Movember as well. And they have really amazing content, and we helped with the design, with the development of these as well. So I guess to answer the question, the easiest tool to start with would be Rise. If you want a really nice result, you can customize pretty much. You customize quite a lot in this. You can insert custom graphics as well. It's interactivity, and there's a few interactive elements in here. But this is and as you can see, it shows you the completion in the top left corner, saying you're 5% complete. You can close this at any time and go back into it. And also, it's locked down, so I can't actually access any of these until I've completed the following activities. So this is probably the easiest tool to start with. You can pretty much, you can do most of the things. If you want to get more advanced or use Storyline, you can always insert Storyline back into this as well. So don't think you're just limited to what's in Rise. If you want to embed something, like we said, from another website, you can. If you have a talented developer who's built something, you can embed that code in there, and that will work as well. So it's a very handy tool, and it always looks nice. Like, it looks nice on the mobile as well. So if I, put the screen to mobile size or use this on my mobile, it looks beautiful. And it's got quite a few interactions. It's got scenarios. It's even got like a bit of a branching scenario that you can put in. And it's got quizzes as well that can be tracked. But as I go through the course, it has completion, it tracks everything, so it's very easy to use. And then we look at Storyline. So this is definitely like a basic build. We would simply, with this one, for instance, we just received a PowerPoint that looked very kind of similar. And it was actually more portrait size, and we made this one-to-one. So this was a very quick build. We normally build these within a week. And just something to get a bit different to the usual, the mobile Rise. It's very basic as well. So you can actually click on these elements, and you'll be able to download your responses later on. So it tracks everything. Very, very easy courses. They're simple. They're a bit cheaper than the other ones as well. And it's more results driven. So just getting a nice result online that isn't maybe a Moodle or just a PowerPoint or something. You can even type text and download those responses. And it tracks it all at the end. So it's particularly good for that. I guess now we're moving on to our more standard Bespoke. So this is what we do. I would say 90% of our projects are on this kind of level, where we would take a design. This one was for electronic arts, and it was a really exciting project for us. We did their inductions, but this is their management courses for their managers. And we just looked at a lot of ways to get a result for them pretty quickly, because they needed to go live pretty soon. But also just subtle things like all the UI is customized to their kind of design, to their website. And it's got a bit of animation in there. You could actually go across, and look at all these courses. And as you go through, that's going through all the modules. And it's just representing like a global part, the global organization that they are. So there's a bit of infographic animation. There's videos in the background. You can take assessments. Here we go. And at the end of these courses as well, I'm not sure if this one has it, but they love the look and the feel of these courses. And I think we made about 30 of them in the end for them. And this is the introduction one. And at the end of some of these courses, we actually built mini games. So we built games in Storyline, and we built really kind of high-end games, but there was just one per course. And this is our more standard bespoke. So at the start of these, we always design screens, a theme, and then we move on. This is a positive partnerships. This was autism training. And with this one, it was more of a rebuild. So they had existing eLearning, and there was more of a UI upgrade and refresher. So it's got a combination of, you know, a nice UI. It's very easy to use. I have to click on each icon. And there's animations on each of those. It might be lagging a bit. But this is our more kind of standard range. And these do vary in terms of like timelines or cost, or it really depends what the client needs as well. And then we get to our more kind of high-end or bespoke things. This is one we're currently doing for the Defence Force, and this is a virtual reality demo. I'll just turn the music down a bit. So in this one, we're using Unity. So Unity is it's a game engine. It's incredibly advanced. I mean, you can do whatever you like on there. You can build Angry Birds if you want, or you can build AAA production game. But this was more of a virtual reality demo where you could walk around and do a recon of the area. And this was modeled off their desert terrain and the maps that they provided us. I'll just skip ahead a bit. And then you can go on the inside as well. But this is more of a prototype, so they came to us wanting an actual prototype and not necessarily a finished product. Just loading a bit. But we can send you all these examples if needed. And this is another one as well for a prototype or a proof of concept. This is for like a junior PGA course or golfing. So this is quite illustrated, and our team illustrated a lot of this or put it together. We also wrote a bit of the content for this as well, so we can write things if needed.
This is really handy because part of that client's remit was to target younger audiences as well. So those are the types of things that we ask in learner questionnaires as well, to make sure that the content fits the audience that it's going to be delivered to.
Yeah, exactly. And this was actually a premium course for GoOne as well. So that's one of the services that we offer, is this kind of premium courses, even for, I guess they might be using it for off the shelf, but it takes quite a long time to build these ones. It's a lot of collaboration. One of our our lead art director did a lot of the illustrations and even wrote a lot of this as well. And at the end of this, as you're going through, there's branching scenarios. So based on, you can check it, how your mental health is going, and if your cup is too full, and how you can like use coping mechanisms or areas to reduce that or reduce the stress. So we do a lot of analogies or metaphors, or try and make learning as memorable as possible and as easy to kind of understand. And then we have our kind of, this is also a bit more, I guess it's kind of standard, more of a standard, but Porsche came to us, they wanted kind of a upgraded content or upgraded theme, so they've come to us and we've created this bespoke UI and course for them as well, which they've really responded well to, and you can kind of drag through. We try and combine a lot of elements to make these. And it's pretty, pretty simple infographics, but it just looks clean. It's easy to use, and yeah, the response was quite good for those.
That's really handy with compliance type training, where you need to have it done in a linear fashion, which means that all content needs to be covered. But here you're sending people in different directions. It's both scrolling up and down, and then moving left to right, and it's highly animated. All the infographics on screen. which is really
Yeah,
cool.
and I guess one of the things that you've seen with all of these, apart from the Rise ones, is that every single bit of UI is custom. So we don't really use any out-of-the-box storyline features. We always say, use it as a blank canvas. And we do a lot of designs before we actually start building these. So these, what you're seeing now is the finished product, but it starts from a very iterative or small, design phase where we storyboard a lot of this. Then once it gets approved, then we start building it out. And the storyboarding phase is, the bulk of the work and the most important part for us.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, that really links into a question here from Gymnastics Victoria, asking if they can add certain slides and designs from your resources, from our resources, to their uploaded courses. Welcome to Gymnastics Victoria, a recent client of ours. And it's a good question, and this comes back to the intellectual property question. So this is the other side of the intellectual property coin, that we can't add elements of our clients' projects and distribute those to our other clients because it's their intellectual property. It's for them to do with as they please. But certainly, as we get more experience, and we've been doing this for 14 years, so we've got a lot of examples under our belt. We pride ourselves in making these elements all custom, but it becomes quicker and easier for us to do the more that we do them. So as we've got thousands of modules under our belt, we've also got thousands of templates that we can then draw upon. So to answer that question in another way, a unique template can be created for an organization like Gymnastics Victoria, which has your branding, your designs that you like in it, which you can then use to build your own content as well, if you're utilizing an authoring tool like Articulate Storyline or Rise to add those elements into it. So I hope that answers the question. But
yeah,
pending any other questions, I think we're good to wrap that up. I'd like to obviously thank everyone for coming along today. The key message from the start was, start. Put your e-learning content in there. You can't get anything out to your learners if it's stuck inside your head or stuck inside textbooks still. Just begin and go through that continuing iterative process. We've been fortunate enough to be doing this for 14 years. So if you need advice on how to set that up for your organization, as we've shown today, we're happy to give away trade secrets because we want to, what's that saying? The rising tide raises all ships. We want to make sure that our clients are getting the most out of their LMS, and content is key. So yeah, please get in contact with us if you need any help for your e-learning content creation. If you do get to a point where you need to outsource, give us a buzz, send through an inquiry. We're more than happy to help map out what you need to do for your project and just get some general advice. And if we're the right folks to work with you on it, then we'll let you know, and we'd love to pick up your project. So until next time, thanks, Christian. It's been fun.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for that.
Cheers. See you next time.
Yeah.